Hello folks and welcome back to Ruthless Metal. In today's Rank 'em All, we're going to rank all albums from a rather legendary band. And I'm of course talking about Ritchie Blackmore's Rainbow, or just Rainbow. And Rainbow was the band that Ritchie Blackmore started upon leaving Deep Purple after a string of insanely successful albums. But Ritchie wanted something else, so he left Deep Purple and teamed up with a certain Ronnie James Dio for the band's first 3 albums. And Rainbow broke new ground, but they were also one of the most commercially successful hard rock bands of all time. And if you're a Rainbow fan, then smash that like button and make sure that you're subscribed with the bell notifications turned on, so you won't miss out when I rank the full discography from other legendary hard rock and heavy metal bands. And now it's time to take on Rainbow's full discography. The worst Rainbow album is in my opinion Difficult to Cure from 1981. And after just one album with Graham Bonnet, Rainbow recruited a new vocalist in Jolene Turner, whom later sung for Yngwie Malmsteen and Deep Purple. Difficult to Cure is quite difficult for me to enjoy, honestly. In its best moments, it's kind of progressive hard rock, like in the instrumental song Difficult to Cure / Beethoven's Ninth. The fast rocker Spotlight Kid is like an up-tempo Deep Purple track. But the rest of the album is just a lot of cheese. They definitely got some taste of mainstream success with Since You've Been Gone from their last album. And this is an even bigger step away from that sound of their first 3 albums. The song I Surrender was a big hit from this record, and it's more or less an AOR track, definitely made for radio play, and this is practically an AOR album. So I think that Difficult to Cure was the worst Rainbow album. Next. In 7th place we have Bent Out of Shape from 1983, and this was the band's last studio album with Jolene Turner, but also the last Rainbow album in over a decade. Can't Let You Go and Street of Dreams were the 2 hit songs from this album, and the band recorded music videos for those 2 songs. I would also put Bent Out of Shape in that hard rock / AOR field. It's melodic and there's a lot of keyboards on this album. Drinking with the Devil and Fire Dance are 2 up-tempo tracks that could please some of the fans of the early era Rainbow. But for me, Bent Out of Shape is just too soft. Next. In 6th place we have Straight Between the Eyes from 1982. And it's still Jolene Turner that fronts the band, but this album is a step up from Difficult to Cure. Death Alley Driver is a cool hard rock song that has this early kind of Deep Purple vibe to it. The next track on the album was Stone Cold, another AOR sounding hit song. And I'm a big fan of Ritchie Blackmore's guitar play, and in between those cheesy AOR songs, his brilliance shines through here and there. There's just a bigger emphasis on Ritchie's guitar play on this album compared to Difficult to Cure, which I do appreciate. Eyes of Fire and the aforementioned Death Alley Driver are my favorite tracks on Straight Between the Eyes. Next. In 5th place we have Stranger to Us All from 1995. And after being stuck in medieval times for about 12 years or so, Ritchie Blackmore finally decided to record another Rainbow album. So he found a completely new lineup to record their comeback album, and this is their first album in 12 long years. This time it was Dougie White that fronted the band, and it's very rare that I prefer a 1995 album before all the band's records from the 80s, but this is actually the case here. Stranger to Us All is just a good old hard rock album. It's a very old school sounding record, you just can't tell that this album was from 1995. Next. In 4th place we have Down to Earth from 1979, and it was Graham Bonnet that fronted the band on this record, and he was only in the band for about 2 years, so this was the only Rainbow album that he sung on. It was also the last Rainbow album featuring the legendary drummer Cozy Powell. And this was also the band's first album post the Dio era of the band. And even if Graham Bonnet did a solid job here, he's definitely no Ronnie James Dio. I also think that it was here that the band started to look towards a more mainstream direction. So I would say that Down to Earth was the album that bridged the gap between the heavier Dio era with the more melodic AOR/hard rock era of the band. The song Eyes of the World sounded a bit like Good Old Rainbow to me, so that one is worth checking out. Danger Zone is also one of the more up-tempo tracks on this album. And Rainbow's biggest hit was also featured on this record, and I'm of course talking about Since You've Been Gone. And it was originally performed by Russ Ballard, but it became a huge mega hit when Rainbow decided to cover it. Next. In third place we have Ritchie Blackmore's Rainbow from 1975. And this was the band's debut album after Ritchie Blackmore taking the bold decision to leave Deep Purple to start a new band. And this was an excellent debut album. The combination of Ritchie Blackmore's guitar play and Ronnie James Dio's vocals, it's just legendary. Rainbow created a lot of timeless classics right from the get-go. Man on the Silver Mountain is one of the most iconic hard rock songs of all time. And that one alone is worth whatever you have to pay for this record. Catch the Rainbow and Temple of the King are two remarkable hard rock ballads. Both are definitely up there amongst the best. And the Self-Portrait is also a great track. And I think the production on this album is slightly weaker than their upcoming two albums. So, next. In second place we have Long Live Rock and Roll from 1978. And this was the band's third studio album, and the last one with Ronnie James Dio. And this is also a legendary album, definitely one of the best hard rock albums of the 70s. Long Live Rock and Roll, Lady of the Lake, Gates of Babylon, and Kill the King. The album is just packed with awesomeness. When you listen to an album like this, it's really a shame that they didn't continue playing like this. Those early 80s records just can't compare to this. There's not a song from those 80s albums that would even qualify to be on a record like Long Live Rock and Roll. So if you're watching this video and you're not familiar with this record, then pause the video and look it up right away and thank me later. Next. The number one Rainbow record is in my opinion Rising from 1976. And it was a close call between this one and Long Live Rock and Roll. But for me, this album is just more iconic. There is only 6 songs on this album, but the 2 B-side tracks are over 8 minutes, so the album clocks in about 33 minutes. Tarot Woman, Run with the Wolf, Starstruck, Do You Close Your Eyes, Stargazer, and A Light in the Black are the songs on Rising. A Light in the Black was one of my favorite Rainbow songs, it was just remarkable. And then we have Stargazer. And the drum intro from Cozy Powell was just mind-blowing. I don't have a better way to describe it than that. And Stargazer is often voted as one of the greatest achievements in rock and metal history, and who am I to disagree with that? It's just an iconic song. You build a tower of stone with your flesh and bone. I mean, songs aren't made like this anymore. And Rising is a classic album and a mandatory listen for all fans of hard rock and heavy metal. So let's pull up my list then. And I have the 3 Dio albums on top where they belong. That era of the band was just above the rest of the material that they put out. Ritchie Blackmore's Rainbow, Rising, and Long Live Rock and Roll are albums that I urge everyone to listen to. They are iconic, groundbreaking, but not only that, they also stand the test of time. And I thought that Down to Earth was an alright album if you want to venture out further from the Dio era. Or why not go and check out their rather overlooked Stranger in Us All from 1995. But the reason why I wanted to rank Rainbow's albums were of course their first 3 records that laid the groundwork for the birth of metal. Especially power metal and the genres that took inspiration from fantasy. So what's your favorite Rainbow album? Do you agree with my ranking or not? And how would you rank their albums? Feel free to post your list down in the comment section below. And if you enjoyed this video, then hit that like button and subscribe to the channel with the bell notifications turned on. And if you think my videos are worth your while, then you can always support my work by dropping a few dollars on Patreon, like these absolute gentlemen. or go and grab yourself some merch at the Ruthless Metal store. And I'm also on Discord, Facebook and Spotify, so check those out as well. And that's it folks, thanks for watching, and long live rock and roll, bye bye.